Is anyone still there? Guess what I'm doing this weekend? Probably going to get a new computer. So, this is like my fourth attempt at doing this. My God, not my day today. I'm hoping that this live now stays on with my camera and my mic. I am learning as I go with this stuff, and it's been a challenge, but thank you for bearing with me. So, if this is your first Messages from Spirit Live, welcome. My name's Amanda. I'm a coach and a channel, and I've been going live once a week to channel a message from Spirit and then welcome in Q&A from anyone that wants to join live. You have an opportunity to ask questions and receive personal insight and support and feedback. And really the goal of this experience is to share a community, to share a time to connect and to receive deep truth and inner knowing that perhaps you didn't realize was readily available for you, but with the reflections from Spirit and upon closer inspection, realize that everything that you've been wanting, searching for, asking for, and lacking certainty around has actually been there all along. I find that the messages that tend to come through in response to questions that people asked tend to reflect that back, that you already know everything that you're asking about. You already have all of the answers that you're searching for. And it's just a matter of really sitting with the question you're asking, getting curious with where this question is coming from, what part of you is asking it, and then being open to receiving all of the wisdom and support and guidance that you've been craving, and all the while sort of knowing that you knew the answer all along, and maybe you just lacked trust in being able to sense what truth was there within you. So, because there were so many delays today, because it took me a while to get this up and running properly, I don't expect many people to be live here with me, and that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tune into Spirit. I'm going to check in with them and see what it is that they wanted to share with us today. And maybe this will just be a short and sweet episode. And hopefully next week it's a little bit smoother sailing. So I'm just going to check in and see what it is that they want to share with us today. Just give me a sec. So sometimes when I tune in, Spirit wants to bring through a message, and it tends to start with an image of some kind, and the image works as a metaphor for what it is that they want to share. And they're showing me the image of a fire roaring in. It kind of looks like a campfire, and this fire is burning brightly, and there's warmth, and there's smoke, and there's ash, and there's just this sense of almost like a sense of relief from the cold, but also sort of like a threat a little bit, where there's shadows sitting around the fire and their faces are obscured, and you're sitting around the fire and you don't know who's there. You don't know who's accompanying you inside of this experience, but you just sense the warmth from the fire, and you know that you're all sort of looking towards this central energetic experience where this fire is roaring, and you're expecting something, you're hoping for something, and you know that everyone there joining you around the fire is hoping for the same thing, and you're just hoping to be able to receive whatever it is that you're looking for. And for whatever reason, it feels like there's a little bit of unease or a competition with regards to who is going to get what they need from this fire first. And I think that what spirit is trying to say through this image, through this metaphor, is that we are all searching for something. We are all looking to the same source of light, of warmth, of energy, for answers, for perspective, for clarity, for hope. And oftentimes it feels like almost like a competition to see who is going to get what they need first, because not everybody can be served in the same way at once. Or you're hoping to be able to get what you need quickly so that you don't have to be there in this group with these other shadowy figures for very much longer, because you can sense their unease too, that they're needing something and they're searching for something and they're yearning for something, and the energy there just feels uncomfortable. And so, what do you guys want to say specifically about this message? They want to reflect back to you that the source of the discomfort that you're sensing is coming from the belief system that what you need is going to come from the fire that lies outside of you. That there's this perception that there's this force of nature that you are looking to that is very much outside of you, that's going to hold all of the answers that you're looking for. And it's just a matter of, when is it going to come to me? When am I going to receive it? When is it going to be my turn? And they want you to realize that having that perspective is what is making the experience uncomfortable, is believing that it's just not there yet. But when it's your turn, for whatever reason, when this force of nature decides that you have been chosen, then this sigh of relief can come in, and you can feel really like the sense of relief and exhalation. Oh, finally, I got what I was looking for, and I don't have to be here anymore. I don't have to be inside of this circle of people who are all feeling super uncomfortable and uneasy and stressed. And they're kind of reflecting back how this experience right now that we're having together can be a little bit of can hold a little bit of that truth inside of it, where you're showing up here with me inside of this experience finally, now that I've gotten my shit together, and you're looking to spirit for what it is that you're looking for. Hopefully Amanda will be able to pull something from the ether to give me today, so that I can feel a little bit more ease inside me, so that I don't have to feel that yearning and searching and stressed out feeling anymore. And they want to reflect back to you that the source of that energy that you're looking for, the source of the relief that it is that you're searching for, is not going to be found inside of an energetic component, that it's not going to be found inside of where you're looking, which is this energetic component that you perceive to be outside of you, that you perceive to be the center of this community that we have, but it's not coming from there. You're perceiving that it's coming from there. But if you have the patience, if you have the bravery to close your eyes, turn away from that fire, close your eyes, and breathe deeply, you will find that there's that same flame inside. And that flame is burning really hot. And it's going to hold just as much wisdom as the flame that you perceive to be outside of you. Except all of the wisdom is already there. You don't have to wait for it. You don't have to wait your turn. You don't have to feel the stress and the anxiety that you're sitting with, hoping that you're just going to finally be able to receive it so that you can feel like a sigh of relief and move on. But it's been there the whole time. You just have to be willing to close your eyes, turn your back to the warmth that you've been looking to for guidance, for hope, and recognize that when you turn away from the fire and look to the darkness around, all of a sudden it lights up. It was the perception that all around this fire was darkness, and the fire was the only source of light and warmth. But when you can see that the fire and the warmth and the perspective and the hope was always inside, it's like the environment lights up and it's not so sinister anymore, and it doesn't feel so cold and empty anymore. And everywhere you look is bright and warm and friendly and inviting, because that fire is burning inside of you. And it's there with you everywhere you go. And you no longer need to sit expectantly waiting for what you want. You just have to be willing to close your eyes and believe that the source of the hope that you've been looking to has been inside this whole time. So I'm just going to stop there. I'm going to come to the chat. Adam, hey. I asked before if you do channeling sessions with Archangel Jophiel. Do you offer that? Hi, Arnie. Happy Wednesday. Hi, Adam. Yes, I'm definitely going to get to your question. The way that I like to do these is I like to sit with spirit for a second and bring forward whatever it feels like is needed right off the bat. And then once they give me kind of the sign that they're ready to go ahead to the chat and answer questions, I get to all of them. So just be patient with me. Give me a second. I had a lot of technical difficulties today. And so I promise I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to get to it when I'm given the green light to do that. Okay. So what else do you want to bring forward? So So Adam, this channeled message might be really important for you to hear today. And they want you to notice this need to have your questions answered. This kind of yearning and drive, like, is she going to get to me? Am I going to be heard? Am I going to receive what I'm looking for? Am I going to be satisfied inside of whatever it is I'm hoping to receive today? And they want you to witness exactly what they've been trying to express inside of this message, kind of being evoked inside of you. The longer I speak, the more uncomfortable it feels to wait your turn and to recognize where you're looking for the source of the flame that you believe to be out there, perhaps through me somewhere, when it's been inside of you all along. And to give yourself an opportunity to close your eyes, feel this question burning inside of you, feel the discomfort that this question is evoking inside of you, and ask yourself, what is it about this question that I am hoping to receive clarity around? And why is that clarity so important to me? And how could it feel to be resisted of that? How does it feel to not be given what it is that you're asking for? And the frustration and the disappointment inside of that, and where that's coming from, what part of you that is coming from, and that doubt that's feeding into that. This message today is really about taking personal power back, about recognizing how often you may not realize that you're searching for a sense of, what is the word that you want to say? Searching for a sense of personal power, respect, responsibility, and pride that you perceive to be distant from you, and how you can begin to reclaim that for yourself. And ultimately, that is what they want to call you forward into today. And so, do you want to answer that question now? Yeah, they're saying, give him a second to breathe, receive this, because this is specific. They're specifically talking to you, Adam. You're getting quite a bit out of this today. And to begin to call forward the question once more, and just kind of let it sit there inside of you. And to just let it breathe for a second. Hey, Stacy. Yeah, I'm back. And once you sit with the question and you just kind of let it simmer there, you recognize that the urgency around that question dissipates just a little bit. And you recognize that the urgency for the answer you're looking for is actually not about the question itself at all, but it's an urgency to receive some sort of validation or vindication or direction, or they're saying fortification of sense of self. And when you breathe with a question that you're feeling like, man, I just need that answer so bad, you just kind of let it be for a second, that urgency fades. And what's left is this sort of, what they're saying is what can become of that is a recognition that all that was needed was the willingness to be with your discomfort and to kind of serve what was really needed all along, which is what? Like a worthiness of what it is that you're really asking for and really wanting. Okay, what else is it that you want to say about this? Okay, they just want to give you like a second to breathe with that message because it can be a little bit confronting to receive something like that. And kind of keep that in the back of your mind throughout the rest of this live today to really come to terms with why it feels so uncomfortable when there's a question that you feel like you have that no one has the answer to. And why that discomfort is really pressing on you so hard. And what it is about not having the answer that drives this need for it that much more strongly. And how we can be with that part of us, that part that needs, that feels this like anxious attachment to whatever it is that we're looking for, that we perceive to be inside of clarity, how we can be with that part of us that doesn't feel like we have the answer already because we don't feel good enough to contain it. And to just begin to witness like that power play that takes place that we don't often realize is there, that this search for clarity and certainty is really coming from a part of us that doesn't feel whole and doesn't feel like we have all the tools that we need, and that someone else is going to have the answer for us, like that is going to shine a light on all the things. And it's going to open up all of these doorways and we're going to feel so much relief. Like finally, that's exactly what I was looking for. Now I can move forward instead of feeling like we're stuck. And they're just saying that stuckness is not going to be alleviated with clarity. That stuckness is not coming from a lack of clarity. That stuckness is coming from a lack of belief inside of who you are. And feeling that fire burning inside of you is ultimately this belief in you. And knowing that the answer that you're looking for is going to be obtained inside of believing that the answer is no longer needed, but all that's needed is peace. Okay, I'm gonna let that sit for a second. Okay, so Adam, I'm gonna get to your question. I asked you before if you do channeling sessions with Archangel Jophiel. Do you offer that? Okay, that's actually a fantastic question. Thank you so much for asking that. I'm going to give you an answer that's not going to be satisfying to you. And I'm going to answer this from like a very authentic, vulnerable place. And this answer might not resonate for you. And I totally understand that if it doesn't. And just take it with a grain of salt. Take it if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. You know the drill. When I entered this spiritual space, had I was coming from a place where I didn't have a religious background. I was a bit of an atheist. And so the idea of God and angels and like beings on the other side, it wasn't within my frame of reference. And I wasn't really used to having that sort of an outlook. And so all of a sudden there was all of this conversation about angels and about demons and about like spirits. And all of a sudden I began to believe in them. And I decided to start channeling them. And when I discovered that I could trance channel, I thought it would be fun to practice by trance channeling the archangels. And I did that for a while and I got a lot out of it. And I think the messages were so beautiful. And the more that I have learned about consciousness, my beliefs have shifted. I want to make sure I articulate this in a very loving way. How can you guys help me with this? Yeah, okay. They're just saying speak from the heart. I see consciousness so differently now. I really do. I see consciousness as just frequency. And oftentimes we like to believe in different beings because it feels comforting. It feels comforting to believe that there's an angel there with us. And we form a relationship with that idea and that entity. And we feel like they're our friend and our loved one, and they're looking out for us. And it's not that that's not true. It's just that I perceive it to be differently now. I don't necessarily believe in archangels anymore. I believe in the idea of them, and I believe that we create our own reality. And so if we believe that they're there, they are. And if we don't believe that they're there, then they're not. And for me, it has come down to channeling a frequency more than a being. And if you go back and you watch a lot of my Meet the Archangels videos, I have a whole series where I channel the archangels. A lot of the messages are pretty similar. Like if you really break it down to brass tacks, there's a through line in every single one of those videos, and the messages are all about just loving who you are. And I began to realize that that was simply because I was tapping into a frequency, and I had the intention to channel that frequency. And so I no longer feel as called to channel beings anymore. I feel called to channel frequency. And trance channeling for me is just a different way of channeling a frequency. There's nothing the same or different about the message as long as the intention and the frequency is the same. And when I was trance channeling, I began to feel very disempowered inside of that process because I didn't feel a part of it. Technically, I was there. I wasn't gone. My body was there. My mind was there, but I wasn't a part of the experience in the same way that I really desired to be. And sometimes I would channel these beings and feel like I could have added so much to the conversation from my Amanda human perspective and all of my time coaching, like the education and experience I've accumulated as a coach and just as a human being. And I wasn't able to offer that because I was in trance. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I have evolved as a person. And so the way I'm approaching my work is a little different now. And I really, really enjoy conscious channeling because I'm able to provide those same messages, but I'm also, as a human, able to be a part of the experience too. So that was a very long-winded way of answering your question. So the answer to your question ultimately is no, I no longer offer that. Maybe at some point I'll change my mind, but for now, I'm feeling really called to do this. To speak on a human level, to create human connection with you, and to channel spirit, but also share my personal experience as a human. And I totally understand if that is not for you. I think there's a lot of people that really enjoy that content, and it's just not where I'm feeling called to go right now. I would love your feedback on that, your thoughts on that, and any follow up questions that you have to that. And yeah, I've gotten questions like that a lot lately, and there's more that I can talk to on that. My personal experience about how trance channeling really works for me and what it feels like to do it, how to do it. And this might be an opportunity for you to learn. And think about that and sit with all of the discomfort that that brings up, all of the doubt that that brings up. Well, I don't know how to do that, and I can't do that. Yes, you can. Okay. Arnie, when I go within, not always, but just happened now, I asked for someone to come in and let me feel you. A few moments later, I felt tingling on my arm and face, also a change in temp. I know it was her. Wait, when I go within, not always, but just happened now, I asked for someone to come in and let me feel you. A few months later, I felt tingling on my arm and face, also a change in temp. I know it was her, Arnie. Okay, is there anything that you guys want to say about that? Is there anything that you guys want to add about that? They're not really saying anything, but they want, like, I'm just feeling like a lot of warmth and pride, and just to follow that. Like, ultimately they want you to trust what you feel is true for you, and to continue to open your heart to experiences like that, because there's so much available for you. And the more you begin to trust that what you're experiencing is spirit, the more you'll believe in the experience, the more you'll believe in your ability to have that experience, and the more those experiences will make themselves available for you. So, amazing job. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I love that you took the time to allow for that experience to unfold for you. I'm so proud of you. Really amazing. Stacy, that's so interesting. I have come to a similar conclusion. I saw them all as colors. I'm resonating with everything you are saying deeply. Oh, Stacy, that's so good to hear. I know that I have turned some people off with my newfound thoughts and perspective, and that's okay. I think that the spiritual journey is one that's ever evolving, and I think allowing for that evolution is a good thing. And I think that that's the beauty of this experience, is that we're all perceiving it to be different because our human experiences are different. And so if we can just look at the world as a reflection of our own thoughts and belief systems, wants, needs, and desires, that's what the world offers right back to us. And if archangels are very real for you, then they are real for you. Don't let anybody talk you out of that or take that away from you. I'm simply speaking from my own personal perspective and experience, and simply where I'm operating right now. Sometimes I will meditate and I will see my spirit guides as just parts of myself. They're just aspects of me. But sometimes I will meditate and I'm just feeling alone and frustrated, and I want to perceive them as their own individual consciousnesses. And so, because I want to feel that friendship connection. And so I simply perceive them as whatever I need them to be in that moment. And for me, for right now, that just feels right. Yeah. So I always encourage people to just own and allow for what feels right for them. You really can't go wrong. Adam, I perfectly understand, Amanda. I really love how you take your time to elaborate on things. Thank you. And I really appreciate that feedback. Um, Truly, And thank you for being so willing and open to receive that. Love it. Stacy, so do you feel like you are channeling the frequency of your higher self? I love these conversations. I'm such a nerd. I love these types of conversations. I geek out over having conversations with like consciousness and perspective. Okay, so do you feel like you're channeling the frequency of your higher self? Yes and no. How do I answer that? I feel like I'm channeling. So I think it depends on how you want to perceive your higher self, what you believe your higher self to be. And that for me has changed too. I used to think of my higher self as like another one of the archangels. She's just like this consciousness that sort of is in the ether somewhere and she's guiding me and I'm trying to become her. And I no longer feel like that's true. I feel like my higher self is the version of me that is the most grounded inside of who I am, the most unconditionally loving of who I am, and the most empowered inside of who I am. And sometimes I live as though that's already true. And sometimes I struggle with that. Just depends on the day, the hour, the minute, whatever it is I'm going through. And so I'm always channeling my higher self. Hold on. Let me rethink that. I'm always channeling what is the highest frequency of unconditional love that I can open to in that specific moment in time. And to believe that that is not my highest self means that that's true. And so I believe that my highest self is always there. I just have to be willing to feel like that's true. I hope that makes sense. My highest self is just the part of me that believes unconditionally in me. And sometimes I'm able to believe in me and sometimes I'm not because I'm having a rough day. And I think that my highest self is the highest part of me doesn't see that as a problem and loves me unconditionally. And so it's not like she's ever not there. She's always there. Sometimes it's just easier to feel her because I just want to sit in my shit. I don't even know if I answered your question. Ultimately, my goal is to channel love consciousness and the deepest truth and bring that to the surface. And so if you define that as my highest self, then yes. And if you define that just as a frequency, then no. So it really comes down to perspective, I guess, to succinctly answer your question. Okay. Wow, you guys are really chatty. I love it. Okay, let me scroll back. Stacy, does it feel disempowering to totally step aside? Okay, so to get into the specifics of trance channeling, when I don't even know if I've ever told this story, but like it wasn't something I ever had to learn how to do. It just sort of became available to me. I was in meditation at the time. I was really into the archangels. Archangel Michael stepped forward. He's like, "Do you want to try it?" And I was like, "Okay." And he just popped in. And I was very afraid. I didn't know what to expect. And so it took me a few times to get used to it. So to answer your question, like I'm just kind of thinking about it. Yes, there was a part of it that did feel disempowering because I didn't fully understand where my power lay. And so, I mean, that was several years ago now. I have worked on myself a lot since then. But there was an aspect of it where I was afraid that beings I didn't want to be in my body would come in. And I was afraid of a lot of different things. And I was afraid of those things because I didn't fully feel empowered inside of who I was. So, yes, there was a part of it that did feel disempowering, but feeling that energy inside is a very beautiful feeling. It just took me a while to feel comfortable inside of my own skin, inside of my own body, to be able to kind of like let go and enjoy it. So it's been a bit of a process, but ultimately the lesson has been self trust, self trust, and setting really firm boundaries, um, which I had to learn how to do because I can have some people pleasing tendencies. And that was ultimately the lesson for me and that's just how it manifested. Let me know if you have additional questions about that. Arnie, a lot of my connections occur in the astral when I sleep. I can tell the difference between dreams and travel. That's so cool. Arnie, I have a question for you. How can you tell? I'm dying to know. I think I've only had a few dreams where I was definitely like, I traveled there. And to me, it just felt like very vivid and very, it stayed with me in a way where most dreams don't. But I would love to know for you what makes those experiences distinct and how do you tell the difference between them? Great conversation today, guys. I was nervous that this was just going to be me today because of my difficulties at the start. Adam, don't know if you would like to answer this. There's no question that's off limits, ever. But can you pick up what are the good and bad things that people feel about me at the gym I go to? Oh, okay. Yeah, give me a second. What do you guys want to say about that? Okay. Um, Adam, I totally understand if you don't feel comfortable having a bit of a back and forth with me today, but they're encouraging me to just ask some follow up questions. And so I would love for this to be a bit of a dialogue if you're open to it. And so the question that they have for you in return is, what are the sorts of things that you are asking yourself about this when you're at the gym? They want you to begin to notice and to almost keep track of what the actual thoughts are. So, like, what you're believing that these people might be thinking about you, and write them all down. And just take a step back and look at that list and ask yourself, how many of these things do I think about myself on a regular basis? Are these things true about me? Do I believe any of these things to be true? And could these people at my gym simply be reflecting back to me my own belief systems? And I'm just going to stop there. I'm going to give you an opportunity to just sit with that and see what comes up for you. And I welcome any follow up questions, and we can have a bit of a back and forth about that if you want. But this is some really deep, loving, personal work that you're being invited into if it feels like you're open to that. Okay. Stacy, me too. I don't know enough people who love these conversations. Stoked to have found you. Me too. I feel like sometimes I embody my highest potential. Sometimes I lose faith in myself and start to seek outside. How human of you. How human of you, Stacy, that sometimes you believe in your highest potential and sometimes you don't. I don't know that the goal should be to always believe in your highest potential. And I know that sounds so counterintuitive. I think that the goal could be to always believe in your highest potential, but I don't know that it should be. Perhaps it's simply a game of observing how often we do and how often we don't, and that the choice is there and that we get to make that choice. and that some days we choose to believe and that some days we choose not to, but ultimately recognizing that we have that power and that we are the ones giving ourselves that power. And the fact that that power to choose exists means that you have the power to choose so many more things beyond that one choice. And what does that open up for you? That perspective of, wow, I have the power to choose literally everything. And where can you start to see the potential of choice in your life and begin to assess, wow, I didn't realize that I was robbing myself of choice here. And I actually have more options than I gave myself credit for. And just like observing the domino effect that opens up in terms of opportunity and spaciousness where you may have previously felt confined. Yeah. Let me know how that sits with you guys. Arnie, I feel what you are feeling. You are projecting out there when there. Try not to do that and see what happens. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Arnie, I I would tend to agree with you. I think we project a lot, and I don't think that that's necessarily a problem either. I think that it's just good to notice. And projection work is something that we all come to at some point on our personal development journey, and it's powerful work. And the more projection work that I have done, the more I've realized how much consciousness is also a projection in all of the layers of how far our projections go. And that has been a really interesting exploration as well. And so maybe, yeah, Adam, I understand what you are saying, but this would take really long and a lot of effort to answer at the moment. Totally understand, Adam. Um, why don't you make that a little bit of a homework assignment? Just take that assignment, sit with it. You don't have to do it all at once, but kind of come back to it, or every time you're at the gym, sort of just pay attention to what thoughts are present for you and how much worry there is about what the other people in the vicinity may be thinking or believing about you. And what do you want to say about that? And they're saying, and recognize that the people that you may be perceiving to be judging or shaming, if that's the case, like let's say that it's true that they are judging you and they are shaming you, or they are thinking things about you that are not flattering, what that might be reflecting inside of their belief systems about who they are and how they're feeling. And let's say these people at your gym are not the kindest and the friendliest and the warmest. Does that mean more about you or about them? And perhaps you are perceiving where they're at inside of their journey and how much work they still have to do in order to embrace who they are and give off that same loving energy to you. And maybe you're just picking up on some of that. Yeah. Arnie, dreams I do not remember or forget immediately. Travel I remember. Yeah. Also, the feeling. I often wake still feeling when I returned to body. Also, the feeling often wake still feeling when I. So are you? So Arnie, are you? So that's super cool. So you're saying that when you travel at night, you remember them. You remember the experiences, and you feel like when you wake up, you're still kind of coming back into your body. That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah. I'm just being given like the confirmation that you're just so open and that there's a part of you that loves going on adventures at night because you feel less inhibited. You feel safe. You feel kind of like oh, okay, now I can go and have a little fun. What's coming through for me, and tell me if this does not feel true for you, but in your waking hours, I feel like you hold a lot of tension and maybe you've been stressed lately and just like more absorbed in the day to day stuff. And perhaps that is just what's needed right now inside of your life. Or maybe that's something that you have felt for a while. And what spirit is saying that like at night you get to release all that. And so your energy body is like, oh, it's gone. Like that shield, that protection is gone. So now I can like go and have some fun. That's so funny. Let me know how that feels for you. Um, Thank you for clarifying, Arnie. I have a lot of recall in the astral. That's so cool. Maybe we can all meet up in the astral sometime. Adam, I feel we might need to do a coaching session on this. Yeah, Adam, if that's something that you're feeling called to do, email me. Send me an email. I would love to support you if you're feeling like that you're ready for something like that. And we don't have to do it right away. We can do it whenever you're ready. But of course, I would love to hold space for you to explore some of this further. And I like so appreciate that you're so open to that. Truly. Stacy, I've also learned with the astral projection, sometimes I felt like I consciously had to realign back into my physical vessel as if I hadn't come back in 100%, like I've left a fragment behind or something. It's possible. I set off my best friend's smoke alarm the other night just to see if it was possible. You guys kill me. Oh my God, you are so funny. You guys are just like off having fun in another dimension at night. Okay, so what's coming through to me is like we are so limited in our ability to understand how time and space truly work and to just like enjoy the experiences that we have without needing to fully understand them, validate them, or rectify them, but just kind of enjoy the elusiveness of them and be willing and open to wherever they take us. That's so funny. Um I realigned back into my physical vessel. If I hadn't come back 100%, I felt like I left a fragment behind or something. What do you guys have to say about that? Um, yeah, Stacey, they're saying like it's not really possible to leave a fragment behind because technically you never left is what they're saying, but if you feel that way, there's a part of your subconscious that is attempting to shed something or has been not wanting to invite something back in. So there's some internal struggle or conflict taking place on like more of a mental and emotional level. And that's what you're feeling, but you're feeling it in a very embodied way. And if you want to understand that a little bit better, then that will come down to exploring its parts work. So, exploring the parts of you that you're feeling really good about and the parts of you that you're feeling not so good about, and beginning to make more of a conscious effort in inviting the parts of you that you're not feeling great about forward and being more compassionate and accepting and allowing of them, and that feeling like you're not able to get back into your physical body as like easily will begin to smooth out, they're saying, for you. Super cool. Super cool stuff. Arnie, one of my card decks was made from 44 nights of travel over coastal ley lines. A deck of healing Gaia. I brought them to the beach and laid them out, meditated for planetary healing. Arnie, do you do tarot? I'd love to know what kind of cards you're talking about. These oracle cards, are they tarot cards? Tarot is something that I always wanted to know how to do. And I couldn't get into it because I found it was very complicated. And I found myself always thinking about the cards and the meaning of the cards. And it sort of distracted me a little bit. So it's a skill set that I was never able to develop, but I have so much respect for people that can read cards. Oracle cards. You made a tarot deck? Where can we purchase this tarot deck that you made? Or is it available for purchase? I would love to purchase one. Stacy, interesting. Yeah, I got better at it. That was when I first started that I felt weird coming back in. I probably had realizations about it later. I think so too. You integrate stuff so quickly, Stacy. So I wouldn't be surprised that this is something that you're not experiencing as much anymore. Oh, you guys are so chatty today. I love it. Okay, I'm going to begin the process of closing this down. I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask any other questions that you have. And I love that you guys are having a conversation, and I don't want it to end. I opened up the community tab on my YouTube channel. And so you're welcome to continue this conversation there. And like, feel free to chat there. And maybe I'll start it off by posting something so that you know where it is. But I love that you guys are kind of supporting one another and sharing your experiences. The spiritual path is so individual because there's no textbook. Like, everyone's experiences are so different. And it's just a byproduct of, like they're saying, the endless possibility that truly exists. And we're just kind of witnessing how we each experience it so differently because they're saying because it's a projection of our own wants, needs, and desires being manifested through our physical and energetic experiences. And the ability and willingness to share and ask questions and explore and receive validation and insight and recognition is really important part of the experience. They're saying of the experience you signed up for, because you didn't sign up to have an experience in a vacuum. You signed up to have a conversation about the types of experiences that are possible. And in doing so, you open up one another's eyes to the possibilities and the willingness to believe that those possibilities are not only available for you too, but to question the notion that reality is limited in any one way, because reality is truly what you make of it. And they're just kind of coming back to that analogy that I was expressing at the beginning about the campfire, and about how perceiving that spirituality looks one way, and we all look to this source of flame and power and light and potential and hope, and sort of have the understanding that it's one thing and it's one way and it's one place, and we connect with it in a particular time when we're ready to receive it and when it's our turn, and it's going to offer us X, Y, and Z. But when we can feel that flame burning within us, we realize that it holds everything that we've been searching for already, and that we can pull upon any one desire and experience it within us, allowing for a unique perspective of ourselves, of life, and of reality as a whole. Yeah. Okay. Stacy, very cool. I'd love to see your deck, Arnie, if you feel compelled to share your art with us. Totally understand if it's personal. Love that it was over 44 nights. Any final questions or observations for myself or for your friends in the chat Thank you guys for being so patient with me again today amidst my difficulties with technology. And hopefully next week I won't have any problems. I, as soon as I end this live, I'm buying another computer, is what I'm going to do. My husband's been bothering me to do that for a really long time. It's time. Adam, one more question. If you don't mind answering, of course. There was a girl near the counter at the gym I went to that was smiling at me. She never talked to me, but she was showing interest. What are you intuitively picking up on this? Okay. Adam, thank you for being so brave today and just like going for it and asking all of your questions. I know that asking this kind of thing in a public forum is not easy, and I'm so um, grateful that you trust me, and I'm in awe of your bravery. I think that your perception of you is very different from the perception that other people have of you. I don't think that you see yourself in the way that other people do. And that's just where you're at right now inside of your personal journey. But I want to encourage you to begin to look again, because I think that you're missing some things. I think that you give off a very friendly, genuine, like social, warm, inviting energy. And I think the people around you see that and they pick up on it. And I think that this person was doing that. I think that she wanted to say hi to you because she felt compelled to, ultimately. And I think that there's a part of you that often questions, like, is this person saying this to me because of X? Or I think you're in your head a little bit, but it's coming from a part of you that doesn't fully feel comfortable inside of your skin yet. And um, to just kind of bear witness to that inner monologue, they're saying inner dialogue that takes place where there's these parts of you that talk back and forth to each other to try to make sense of things. And that there's going to be peace inside of the quiet when you can understand how to quiet some of that chatter so that you don't have those voices going back and forth. You'll be able to start to feel a little bit of your true energy and recognize that there's like a lot of power there. There's like a personal power that's available to you that you haven't fully tapped into yet. And it's going to come from the willingness to believe that that's true and the time that you're going to take to feel it there. And the conversations that you perceive other people might be having about you, not necessarily to one another, but internally inside of themselves, you may begin to see differently once you start doing that work. That you're not going to see them perceiving you anymore, but you're just going to be, and you're just going to be witnessing them experiencing themselves. And you're going to see a lot of similarities inside of where they are in comparison to where you were, but where you no longer are because you just don't feel the need to be there anymore. And this is going to be a process for you that's going to unfold slowly and gradually, and to not feel the need to rush through it. But there's a lot of personal power here that's waiting to be recognized for you. And this interaction with this person is just a reflection of where that's looking to be, to begin to be felt and explored. Let me know your thoughts on that. It was a bit of a mouthful. You're welcome, Arnie. My pleasure. Thank you for sticking with me today. So she was just being friendly. Um, I know what you're asking, and I feel like you're asking this question because you're wanting confirmation in order to feel comfortable with the choice that's available for you. And that choice can be, um, you know, engaging with her in a way that is beyond just friendliness or remaining inside of this just friendly energy. And what do you want to say about that? They're highlighting again where this desire to sit in your personal power is coming from. And in time, you're going to feel a shift, um, where you will no longer need to know what someone's intentions are in order for you to just take big, bold action. And so, was she just being friendly? I think you're going to hate this. Yes and no. Like, yes, she was just being friendly, but she also sensed something in you. Like, I'm feeling into her energy. Like, I feel like she feels like a warmth coming from you, and a like a friendliness. And I don't think that she is that open energetically with everybody, but with you she feels safe to be. You feel like a safe person to her. And so, does she like you in a romantic way? I can't really answer that question. And they're actually telling me not to even look into that because they want you to begin to explore where a desire to take big bold action is is wanting to step forward, and how to begin to call upon that more, and to trust in that more, and to not be afraid of, the rejection that is met with people who are bold. Because the bolder you are, the more you're opening yourself up to potential rejection. But boldness doesn't care about rejection. Boldness just cares about action. And to take your time to parse through that in time. Thanks, Amanda. Very interesting as usual. You're welcome, Stacy. So I'm going to conclude this for today. Thank you all so much for being here with me. Again, you are the light of my life. I'm laughing, but like it's true. I love you guys so much. I just some inside baseball. When my computer wasn't working, I was like frantically like I had to restart my computer, and then there was like an update, and then my husband brought in his computer, and we were like fighting and yelling at each other. It was just like so stressful and such a disaster. And then I was like, okay, like I'm gonna, try to do this again, and no one's gonna be there. And it's ended up being like such a beautiful experience as always, because you guys have made it so. So I have so much appreciation for you. Thank you so much for bearing with me today. And I'm sending you so much love and so much light. And feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you ever have. I'm always open to emails or messages on social media. You don't have to wait for a live to talk to me. I love hearing from you. And if coaching is something that you're interested in, feel free to reach out and we can talk about what that could look like, even if you're not ready to get started right away. It's always okay to have a conversation about it. So enjoy the rest of your day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. And I will see you next week for what is it called? The meditation thing. This this is where I'm at right now. I'll see you next week for a guided meditation experience. I'll just leave it there. Bye, guys.